Hey Frank, why don't you come over here right now? We're doing a show on the internet, me and Carmine, and the guest is late. So I said, why don't we call Frank? He could be a guest. We can all talk.
All right, well, you're talking now, that's for sure. Man, oh man, I love the beginning of our show. I just want to sit back and listen to it. Just want to sit back and listen to it. Hi, everybody. Ron Onesti here from the Arcada Theater in St. Charles, right outside Chicago, with Artists on Lockdown, our weekly show with very special guests in the industry, in the entertainment, music, and drumming industry as of late. And speaking of drummers, my co-hosts are two legendary performers. I am the luckiest guy on the planet. I say this every week. I've got Carmine Appice from Vanilla Fudge, Jeff Beck, Rod Stewart, and so many other things, the legend himself. And, of course, his little brother, who's been rocking it like crazy as well with Dio, Black Sabbath, and last in line as of late. Please welcome Vinny Appice. How you doing, guys?
Good. What happened to Vinny?
Vinny, I don't know, but you know what? We got you. That's all that matters.
I know. Wow, Vinny froze. You're frozen, Vin.
Oh, I'll unfreeze it. I got to come back in.
Okay.
All right. Well, everybody, we got a special guest tonight coming on a little bit later in the show from the Stray Cats, Slim Jim Phantom, that drummer from, again, the rockabilly band that turned rockabilly into mainstream music. We'll be talking to him about what it was like and what it's like now, what he's doing, some really cool stories about his personal hobbies we'll talk about. And then we're also going to have a couple surprise guests. We're also doing something a little bit different this week. We're starting out the show with a Q&A because, once again, two legendary rock and rollers right here in front of me that I can technically have this show and interview these two guys every single week because they've been around so long with so many stories, performed with so many superstars. So we're going to start doing the show, opening up the show with some Q&A. And I've already got a question for Carmine. And they want to know, yeah, I know, what your bra size, no, what they want to know is, let's see here, Steve from Newark actually wants to know if what made you go with an R&B song as opposed to as you covered, Keep Me Hanging On. What is the reason why you went with an R&B song rather than covering a rock and roll song?
Well, because rock and roll was different back then. The Hanging On was a rock and roll song. It wasn't really, things weren't categorized like they are now.
Really?
It was all rock, and it was a pop really song, and because it had the emotion in the vocal that we wanted to be. It was just begging to be slowed down, to put more emotion in that lyric, So that's pretty much why we did that. And all the songs we did on that first album, especially, we tried to match the lyrics with the mood of the music,
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I'll tell you what, again, I said it at the opening of the show. I just love that. Set me free, what? I just love it, man. It's a great opening. Okay, we got a question from Susie for Vinny. Vinny, last in line, great project, great group. I could say that personally because you guys perform at the Arcada Theater on a regular basis. But obviously you're a super group made up of rock stars from different bands. Do you ever feel like you want to cover one of your own songs in the Last in Line project?
Vinny, you got no mic. No. Well, I could answer that.
He never sounded so good.
We got Jim,
I could answer that.
Peterick.
All right, great.
Yeah, I mean, they do cover. Does she mean on an album or live? They do play their own songs live. Does she mean a Last in Line song or a Dio song?
Yeah. Well, like a Dio or Black Sabbath during a Dio show.
Oh, well, there was no Dio show. There is no Dio show.
I'm sorry. During the Last in Line show.
Yeah, during the Last in Line show, they do Dio. They don't do Black Sabbath, but they do Dio, and because that was the Dio band. You know, I've seen them a bunch of times, and you've seen them. You know, they do Last in Line. They do, you know, Rainbow in the Dark, and they do all the big hits. You know.
Well, I got a surprise for you. As I mentioned with the opening of the show, we've got Slim Jim Phantom from the Stray Cats coming on a little bit later, but I have a very amazing surprise. Another, I mean, again, I'm so blessed. Another legendary rock and roller, a guy that's written more songs than we could even talk about. A guy who co-wrote a song called "Eye of the Tiger," you may have heard of, and also a bunch of songs from 38 Special. He said he did "Hold On Loosely," so many of those. Wrote Vehicle for and founded the band, the Ides of March. Our good buddy, where you at? Jim Peterick's on here.
Hey, Jim, look at, dude, how'd you get that hair color? That's what I want.
It's natural.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Thank you.
It's changed since I saw you last. How you doing, brother?
I'm great. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good.
So, Jimmy, during all this stuff, I mean, you're always so busy, always working on so many projects, always collaborating. You just did a couple things that I among the many things you've done, one of the collaborations with Dennis DeYoung. Tell us about what's going on with you and Dennis.
Well, Dennis just put out an amazing album called 21 East, and that's the address of his original home and where the band Styx got together really for their first rehearsals. And I wrote about 5 songs with Dennis for this 10-song album. And the first single is called "With All Due Respect," which is hilarious, guys. It's like, "With all due respect, but you are an asshole." With it's effing great. And it's going through the roof. And I think everybody can relate to the media and how screwed up they are. And, you know, and yeah, it's striking a chord with people. So we're having a blast. And Dennis, you know him, he's a classic. He's amazing.
Well, and also I saw something you did. Was it with Vinny Appice, or was it a COVID little song you did?
Oh man, yeah, with Cornerstones of Rock. You know, Ron, I have to give you a lot of credit for helping out the brand of Cornerstones of Rock. It's me and the Ides of March, of course, and Shadows of Night and New County 6 and Jimmy Sands, and I know I'm missing out a bunch of bands, but thank you. Yes. Anyway, Jim Sands of the Shadows came up with a parody of a song, and we were calling it Pandemic Blues, and it's like Eddie Cochran's.
I'm trying to get the sound on.
Blues. But music is the cure for the pandemic blues, you know, and it's pretty fun. And we did a video, and it's going.
We're not on yet.
We love it.
Well, I tell you, I listened to it. It's going viral, and I'm glad Jimmy's doing that as well, because here's a guy who came back. He was a little ill. He got hit with a stroke, but and he was down. All his brothers, I loved it. All his brothers in rock and roll helped him through it. I know you were there. I was there for a little bit with him at the hospital and everything, and he's back singing, doing Gloria. It's really, really great to see, and it's really great to see what you're doing out there. So now, are you starting to do some live performances?
Yeah, well, we're doing I can't tell you who's party, but the famous.
Yeah, you just listen. I'll put you on.
Local celebrity.
Let's mute Vinny for a minute, huh?
What?
No, I'm just telling Ben something over here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're doing a party on Saturday, a birthday party for 2 people. And man, we rehearsed the other day, knocked the rust off. It felt so good to play, brother, I'll tell you.
Well, you know what? Now
we'll enjoy it because it ain't gonna last.
You don't think so?
There's an optimistic guy.
No, I mean, look what's going on everywhere. I mean, we were in New York when it got bad, so we went to Connecticut, and then we left Connecticut. We sold a house, then we went to Florida, and everywhere we went, it turned into a hot spot. So,
yeah.
Well, so it's crazy. Now I'm hearing no gigs, but Ron, you can tell us, man. What about your place? How are you going to do this?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know about the other places. I think maybe the ones that aren't gonna make it through this may have been, maybe they're on the fence already. But I'm using this time to restructure my companies and really analyze all the venues and make it more efficient. And every day, 14 hours a day, renovation, remodeling.
Yeah.
When I come back, I'm in no rush to come back because I don't want to rush the pandemic thing. I want to be sensitive to people's health and safety. So what's another week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month? At the end of the day, I'm more looking at the big picture. So
You got to buy a drive-in. You got to buy a
I
drive-in.
know that's hard too. Everybody
Yeah.
brings their own beer to a drive-in. So what is that for me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So
Well, they can't do it though. They can't do it though. See, they got to
No.
search the cause. But if they did the drive-in thing, it's like the old days of the rock and roll shows. They used to show a movie, then have the show. Alan Freed used to do that.
Yeah, you're talking about rock and roll. I think you're talking about vaudeville. You've been around for a long time, man.
Oh man.
So
you know what Jim knows what I'm talking about.
Oh
I do,
yeah,
I do,
Alan Freed. It was really sad. You bring up Alan Freed, a few years back, and how, what was it? The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame gave back his ashes or something. Is that what happened? Do you hear
I don't
about
know.
that?
No.
Yeah, it was something that they kind of gave. I think they contacted the family, said, we're good, we don't need him anymore. It was a very sad story about Alan Freed. You believe
Alan
that?
Freed. I mean,
I know.
that's why that whole thing is a farce. It is really.
It goes back and forth, believe me. So Vanilla Fudge around, obviously late 60s. Ides and March, you guys a little bit late 60s, early 70s. How have you guys interfaced, or any roads you guys crossed paths together?
We really didn't cross that much, did we, Jim?
Not a couple of shows, but those festivals, I never saw the other bands,
Yeah.
and we were on bills with you guys,
Right.
And we ran into you backstage and had some beers and stuff, but everybody was like doing their own thing, even on the festivals, right? So
yeah, it was really difficult. I mean, we've seen gigs now with you, and I've done stuff with Jim. A few things here and there, and I've seen him more in the last few years than I did back in the old days,
Yeah, amen on that. And it's always been fun. We love you guys, man.
Yeah.
What a great, you know what? If you know anybody who puts on shows, we should let them know that what a great double bill Vanilla Fudge and the Ides of March would be.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
If I know anybody, I'll tell them.
Oh,
that would
my
be awesome.
God. I know.
Who's your agents? Who's your agents?
I know. I'm looking at both of you guys thinking, my God, what a great show that's going to be. I'll be in touch about that. By the way.
And I got to get my purple back in my hair. I haven't been. I said, why bother? I'm not really doing anything.
Well, even I do it just to look in the freaking mirror.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying it. And then now I don't have to use black towels.
Right. Oh, there you go. Thank you. They're a pain for us to get. They're twice as expensive. Thank you very much.
Right.
You know what, Jim? With this show we've been doing, one of the questions I ask is it's a regular question. I ask, what is a piece of memorabilia or something that you would grab running out of the house if it was on fire, something that's very important to you? But here, I'm not going to ask you that at the moment. I'm going to answer that question. Because one of my favorite things one of my prized possessions that I'm so proud of is I was when the Italian community gave me an award, Man of the Year, whatever, 2-3 years ago, and Jimmy Peterick showed up, and he actually spoke to introduce me at this award thing. It was so wonderful, and just having him there was such a big deal. A bunch of the guys came, and it just was wonderful. But he gave me a gift. It was, I don't know if you remember, Jim, is this red guitar, and he wrote on it every song. I don't know, it could have been every song you wrote because you've written thousands, but it was wonderful. It's got to be 300 songs, every title, the whole guitar back and front, including all the 38 Special stuff, all the Survivor stuff, and especially Vehicle and Eye of the Tiger. It's just one of my prized possessions, Jim. It really, really is.
Oh man,
Wow.
that's great.
Cool. Okay, so let's ask Jim. What is his?
Oh, yeah.
What's your piece of memorabilia that just something that somebody gave you, or something from a past gig that you really, really love?
Vinny, you calling me?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. So be quiet. We're talking to Jim.
Okay.
Okay.
So you got that, Jim? The question is, what is a piece of memorabilia or a favorite gift that really is someone from an idol that gave to you, something that's so special and near and dear to your heart?
Oh man, let me think. That's tough, man. You
Yep.
know, I've got a really neat autograph from Burton Cummings, man. You know, we had opened for a Led Zeppelin in '70, and Burton Cummings was in the audience. He came up to me at the break, and things were loose then, you know.
Yeah, right.
And I said, "Dude, Burton, you're my hero. You got the best voice in the world." I said, "Would you sign this piece of paper?" He goes, "What the fuck? Sure." Nobody asked, no other artist asked me for their autograph. I said, "Well, I'll tell you, you're one of my hero vocalists." So I'll always cherish that autograph from Burton.
You know, he's still out there. He comes by us at least once a year. Sometimes he's come with Randy Bachman. I mean, it's just a great show he does, and he works as hard as he ever did for encores. He actually kicked me off the stage. I thought he was done. He's like, "I'm not done yet." Like, okay. You know, and he just sweats and just what a tremendous, and just like Jim Peterick, you just don't realize how many songs this guy has wrote or co-wrote or been a part of. It's a virtual jukebox, this show.
Well, it is, and according to him, they just roll off his back. You know, it's instinctual. It's not like he sweats over it. He wrote "Laughing" in like 15 minutes. You know,
yeah,
I love it.
So Vinny's on also. We have a special guest in Vinny's office. Who's that guy?
This is the other brother, Frank Appice.
So, all right, let me get it straight.
He says it different too. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Vinny, how you doing, man?
Good. So now we got all three brothers on.
But that's the most amazing thing. Three brothers, three pronunciations of your name: Appice, Appice, and Appice.
Oh man, that's
actually I say Appice.
He says
It's a little easier.
Why, Frank? Why?
Why? Because when I was in college, I was on the fencing team, and I had an Italian coach.
So you can look at the camera.
So when I was first there, I was fencing, and then after practice, he says, "Come here," because I was new, and he says, "What's your name?" I said, "Frank." He said, "Frank what?" I said, "Frank Appice." And he says, "Appice." He says, "How do you spell that?" So I spelled it Appice. He says, "My boy, your name is Appice."
Appice.
Okay. So everybody got to know me as Frank Appice, the fencer, on the fencing team. And then I noticed that when I graduated, I moved to California. Well, first I moved to Connecticut, and everybody remembered the name. Once you pronounced it, they said, "Oh, Frank Appice." Yeah. When I was in elementary school one time, junior high school, they called a list. We had a substitute, and she said, "Frank Appice." I said, "No, Appice." He said, "Was he here today? He's absent." He thought I said I was absent. And I go, "God, nobody could pronounce our name." And of course, Carmine became famous, and they couldn't pronounce it as Appice, so they called him Carmine Appice. So that's how we got three pronunciations. Appice is a family pronunciation.
That's me.
I don't even get. I mean, I've known these guys forever, and just trying to figure out, the differential in two names. My mind is blowing to know there's actually three pronunciations of the same name for the same family. You guys are killing us.
Yeah, because it looks like Appice. People have called me Frank Appice.
That calls it that.
I had some people on the phone the other day. Is that how do you spell your name? Appice. Is that Appice? I said, no. But when you think about it, APP is app, and then ICE is ice. So why not Appice?
Yeah, Appice. And we got the modern word app in our name.
Yeah.
Well, Frank, what do you do? Are you music?
No.
Are you music, Frank?
I'm my sister and I are the brains of the family.
They went to college.
So you were a fencer. So do you work at like Texas de Brazil or something with the scabbers of meat walking out to the table?
No, I fence saber. I was a saber fencer.
Frank, look at the camera.
And I fenced for four years. Then I came out here and fenced in Fullerton at Cal State Fullerton for a coach who was an Olympic coach, and we had a team, and so we fenced. I fenced some tournaments. I've won some medals in fencing, and then after a while, I stopped fencing because I had to travel all the way to Fullerton, and you have to have people to fence with, to keep it up and take lessons. So
hey, Carmine and I were out of the question.
Yeah. And
Well,
so,
believe me, they're not going to give you anything sharp to play with.
yeah, and then I started running. So I've been running since 1978. I've run 3 marathons and over 200 races. And
Holy shit.
I've won medals in running, not every race, but I mean, I used to run I ran 10 miles in 6
I mean, he's 90 years old. Doesn't he look good?
I'm 77, actually. I'm the old guy. I'm older than Carmine.
Nobody's older than Carmine.
He's older than me.
He was, but I am.
Nobody's older than Carmine. Carmine played at Lincoln's inaugural. Are you kidding me?
Right.
So,
Hey, wait a
Jimmy,
minute. I think Jim played with me there.
Yeah, right. Hey, Jimmy, of all the songs you wrote, I know you get this question asked, but you've got obviously "Eye of the Tiger." I mean, just a monster song. How did that come about? Did Rocky? I mean, was that happening? Did the movie come first and they called you for the music, or how did that all work?
I'll tell you, no, man. I got a call out of the blue. Actually, it was on my answer machine. Hey, yo, Jim, give me a call. It's Sylvester Stallone. Give me a call. I thought someone was putting me on. Finally, my wife, she said, you better call him back. That sounds like Stallone, right? So I called him back and I said, is this really Sylvester Stallone? This is Jim Peter. Hey, Jimbo, call me Sly, And I'm just shaking in my shoes because he was my hero even then, in early 1982. He said, I got this new movie called Rocky III. And I don't want to use a "Gonna Fly Now" song. It's kind of wimpy. I want something with balls, Can you help us out? I said, is the Pope Catholic? Yeah. And man, I'll tell you, he sent us the rough cut of the movie and got together with Frankie. And I just had this idea, man. Eye of the Tiger. It was in the dialogue. I said, let's call this Eye of the Tiger, man. It's Eye of the Tiger. It's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of your rival. And man, it just flowed. We demoed it up and Stallone says, you guys really did it. You wrote a song that's going to outlive you and me. And so far, he might be right. It's really an amazing moment in my life.
So "Eye of the Tiger" was actually one of the is in the movie as a piece of dialogue.
Oh, definitely.
But
it's in the dialogue. I remember that.
Yep, the movie inspired the song. It wasn't just like, it wasn't laying around. We wrote this to spec. And it was just incredible. We had to use the demo because they're under a deadline. So the version you hear in the movie, that's the demo. And then we had to re-record it. And of course, it took like 3 months to record something. It took like a half hour to record, because then you got to get it just right. But
it goes to show you, right? It's like Hanging On. We did in 7.5 minutes,
Really?
That's right.
That was a demo also.
There you go. Sometimes those are the best. The magic
That's
moments.
right.
Oh yeah,
You're right.
I mean, Vehicle was a take 2, and we caught lightning in a bottle, man. And then they erased 13 seconds, and holy shit, what are we going to do now? And we had to go to take 1 and no click track, and they spliced in 13 seconds from take 1. It fit like a glove, and history was restored.
Nice.
Those power horns at the beginning of Vehicle. How did that come to be? I mean, is that because that's again some of the most magical, notes in any kind of music?
Well, yeah, it's just like I heard it in my head. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Hey, cool, man. And I was trying to win back my girlfriend, so I had something I really had to prove, man. And I said, maybe if this song goes number 1, I can get her back. And went number 1, and I've been married to that girl for 47 years now, so I guess it worked.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Did any of you guys have any songs that it became a radio hit, and it was your 2.5 to 3.5 minutes or so, but started out as a 6-minute, 7-minute, 12-minute anthem? What do you got, Carm?
Hanging on. It was 7.5 minutes. The
Hey,
single on the radio was 2.5 minutes.
Now, when that happens, do you have any say-so on that splice, on that edit?
Not really. In those days, the label really did everything, you know. Later on, you had say, but like in 1967, as Jim probably know, you give it to the label, and they go, we're going to release a single. And then next thing you know, you hear the edit, you go, oh, man, they butchered that song. They butchered it. But it went to #4, so who cares, you know?
Did you know that? Did you know what's happening, or did you just hear it that way on the radio?
Do we know?
Yeah, did you know that they were splicing it up?
Yeah, they said they have to. Come on. In 1967, it was AM radio. You know, nothing over 3 minutes got played on AM radio. So it was like, we have to cut this down. And we said, okay, let's hear it. And they cut it. And it was like, whoa, it starts off with the organ. Do, 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 do. The whole intro was knocked out, you know. And then the outro, too. It went, do, 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 and cut. So they cut out 2 minutes at the beginning, 2 minutes at the end. And there you got your 3 minutes.
Do you, in your live show, you know, because I'm trying to think of it, because I you know, I've seen it so many times. Do you do the 7-minute or the 3-minute version?
Where, on TV?
No, on your live show, you know, when you come play by.
Oh yeah, we do the 7.5 minutes.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's an album that was just released to Ratco. It was the singles, it was called, and Hanging On was on the single version. You know, just 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever it was.
Hey, Vinny, would you just say that, you know, you were talking to guys, obviously, your brother Carmine, kind of almost a generation before you, Jimmy Peterick and those guys, kind of the same thing. When you're doing songs, when you guys are doing shows with Dio and, you know, obviously with Ozzy, was any that, did you feel the influence of guys like this as you were doing songs with those bands?
I'm sorry, it keeps breaking up. With playing with Dio, influenced by who?
Well, by the guy again, you got Carmine, who's kind of almost musically a generation prior to you. You got Jimmy Peterick here, the Ides of March, almost the same situation. As you guys are with Dio, as you're with Ozzy, Black Sabbath, did you feel any of the influences of these earlier kind of rock and roll legends in their music?
You know what? Probably influences of a lot of the early bands and stuff, you know, and probably it's a subconscious thing that when you get to that point and start making records and writing music, it slips in there somehow, you know. But I was more into listening to the drums at the early age, you know, influences, not so much for the songs, you know.
Yeah, but you look at Ronnie, look at Dio. Ronnie used to sing soul music when he was young, so
right.
You know, he certainly was influenced by it. I know it's a fact that he used to love Mark Stein's voice. He used to tell me when we talked about Vanilla Fudge how he loved Hanging On, and he loved Mark's voice because he had the same kind of soul in his voice, you know, and. So I think Ronnie, in particular, of all those guys, were influenced by that, you know, especially now was the band that Vinny started with Ronnie, you know, or Ronnie started with Vinny, I should say.
Right.
And due to the fact that it was Ronnie's band, that's why Ronnie's music was more soulful than, say, Black Sabbath, you know.
Sure.
Even when Ronnie was with Black Sabbath, you know, it was different, you know, with Bill Ward playing, because Vinny grew up playing R&B too. I mean, his first band when he was discovered by John Lennon was a horn band playing R&B kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah. That's John Lennon over my shoulder here, right there.
Yeah.
I'm at my one of my other clubs. It's called Club 210 of Highwood. It's a 350-seat rock club, and actually Jimmy was ready to play it before all this stuff happened.
Is that the one we played at with what was it? Cactus played there?
No, that was
Vanilla Fudge.
No, that was in Evanston. That was at Evanston Rocks, another club. I got a bunch of things going on. But you know what? I want to take advantage of the fact that we have the third Peach in the audience here.
Hey, Frank had a band too called the Laurels.
The Laurel.
No, it wasn't a band. It was a singing group.
We had a doo-wop group in high school. We were all in, where I went to an all-boys high school, and we were all in Glee Club. And we had a doo-wop band. We sing in the subway and stuff. And we actually rehearsed and then opened up for Carmine's little band at the Bronx Jewish Center.
Yeah.
And we got $5 a man.
That was my first gig.
I thought you got $5 for the whole band.
No, $5.
I got $7.50 for each man for my gig.
Yeah.
And my father took all our stuff in the car, in the trunk of his car.
Of course you did.
You know,
God
I bet a
bless
lot
our
of things
fathers.
happen in the trunk of your
Frank,
father's
but what was the hit song, Frank? What was the hit song that you guys did?
My mind, please be mine. Wow, my mind.
Mine, please. Let's sing it. Come on, let's sing it, Frank. Let's sing it. Vinny will do the second part. Come on, Vinny.
Okay.
You can do it.
Mine, please be mine. Wow, my mind. Please be mine. Wow, my
My
mind.
mind, please be mine. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're going, okay, so we got a cool bill with Vanilla Fudge and Eyes of March. We got the Appice,
Man.
Appice, and the Peach Trio. This is going to be an amazing tour that we're going to put together.
Yeah, there you go. You know, Frank
Well, you know-
actually taught me how to sing harmony when I
Wow.
was a kid. Yeah.
Now you do it. Hey, I wanted to say something, Carmine. You've been busting my balls for years that we ripped you off and your arrangement of People Get Ready. Okay.
Right.
And I got to tell you, we did not rip you off. We always loved that song, and we always opened our set with People Get Ready.
Yeah.
Honest to God, we didn't.
Great
rip
song.
You. Yeah,
Great song.
you can't beat it.
I did it later on again with Rod and Jeff Beck, me and Dwayne Hitchings. You know, did that.
I know. I love that version. You
Yeah,
kidding me?
great version. Great
Yeah.
song.
It's a universal song, it seems like.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It really, really
The
is.
impressions. I mean, Curtis Mayfield. People Get Ready. I'm so
Oh.
proud. We did I'm so
Oh.
proud with BB-8. You know.
Well,
Great song.
yeah, we opened up for the Almond Joys, who of course became the Almond Brothers, and they did
Wow.
Keep On Trying with 3-part harmony, and we just about melted. This is 1966,
Wow.
and oh my God, we had Dwayne and you know, and Greg, and they were amazing. And of course, they then became well, before the Almond Brothers, they became what was in between, Hourglass, and then the Almonds. But they were amazing. They played this little club in Florida, and we opened up for them. It's so great.
So,
Yeah.
Jimmy, we got a question. Do you have any idea, at least close to the nearest 10 or 20, how many songs you have written or co-written? And do you have a favorite song that you wrote or co-wrote? And I'll tell you what, let's take Eye of the Tiger and Vehicle out of the equation.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, I probably wrote and copywritten about 3,000 songs. I've probably written about
Just
3
this
million
week.
songs. This week. Well, believe me. Hey, look, I play the odds. You know, if 1 out of 30 is decent, I'm winning. You know.
Yep.
But I think my favorite song besides Vehicle and Eye of the Tiger is The Search Is Over.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
with me all the while. I don't know how I wrote it. That's when you write a song that's better than you are, you know, and I lucked out.
It's just amazing. And, you know, I think Sly said it best. These songs are really, you know, they're standing the test of time, and they
Yeah.
will be here after we're gone, you know, because I hear, you know, it's really nice. One of the things that we do at the Arcada, we do these, you know, and you guys are part of it too. I'm sure in your worlds, these like talent competitions and young people are just doing some, let them open sometimes. And do they open with, I don't know, Justin Bieber songs or Ariana Grande songs? They don't. They open up with songs that you guys made famous. You know, I'm talking about 15-year-olds and 18-year-olds, and
Right.
that really says a lot about your music, just how powerful it is and how it is going to stand the test of time.
I'm writing with a group called Lit, L-I-T, and they're really good, but they're more like the alternative, you know, stuff, heavy alternative. And I was talking to the guy. He said, "Man, believe it or not, we used to start every show with Rockin' Into the Night." I go,
Wow.
"That's cool," you know. anyway, we're writing songs, and it's really no different than anything else. The arrangements are heavier. There's fewer chords, but it still comes down to a great song.
Yep.
And you guys, again, legendary. You're still around. I just love it. I say this all the time, but again, Carmine, Vinny, huge heroes of mine. You know how I feel about you, Jimmy. Just been a tremendous brother for all these years, and a legend. And I just love what I love most about you guys is that, everybody, I don't know if you're a dentist for 30, 40, 50 years, you might get tired of it and look bored or whatever it is. But you guys, every time you hit the stage, whether it's Last in Line with Vinny or Vanilla Fudge or the Ides, you guys give 150%, and it's like you're just starting. You're as excited, as nervous, and into it as you were from day one. How do you do that, guys?
How can you not do it?
Yeah, it's just part of your blood. Part of your blood.
Yeah.
Well, so Jimmy, Peterick, again, we are hanging and banging with legends on this show: Carmine Appice, Vinny Appice, Frank Appice, your cousin Appice, your nephew Appice, you got all these things going on. But Jimmy Peterick, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jim.
We are going to
have you guys are the best. We love you.
You too, man. Love you, bro. Good.
Hey, Jimmy,
thanks a lot.
Hey, Ronnie,
you back on our show, Jimmy.
Thanks for what you do, Ron. You're a lifer. We love you.
Yeah, that's right. He's a lifer.
Thank you very much.
God bless you guys.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Goodbye, Jimmy. We have in the bullpen a very special guest that we've been promoting all week. Very excited to have him on Artist on Lockdown here, hanging and banging with, from the Stray Cats, Slim Jim Phantom. Let me see if he's out there.
Hey!
There he is.
I'm here for Carmine.
Hey, man.
Well, thanks for doing it. I'll tell you
You
what.
even guess where I am if I told you.
Well, you look like, I bet you, are you up parachuting or something? Where are you?
I'm at the LAPD gun range doing some heavy stuff with some guys.
Oh.
And my beautiful wife shooting guns and blowing stuff up.
Wow.
Awesome. Well, this is a better time. Jim, my name is Ron Onesti from the Arcada Theater. We haven't really met yet. How
you doing, buddy?
I'm great. I was so excited when these guys lined you up for this show because, I've had Brian's Christmas special by me at the theater. I've had Lee in our speakeasies. I can't wait to bring your show to Chicago by us.
Where's your gig? What's your gig?
So I have the Arcada Theater in St. Charles, the Display Theater. So all the Chicago area venues I have, and I just can't wait to bring you in, man.
Oh, I'm there, buddy. I'd love to come there. My wife plays in Eagles of Death Metal, and we did a gig in Chicago not that long ago. Maybe the Winery.
Sure.
Maybe we did something with Dennis Quaid there. I can't quite remember. Maybe we opened up for him. Something.
Well, it's great to have our rockabilly buddy here, Slim Jim.
Oh, thank you.
And it's an honor for me. I'm a little nervous because I'm not packing heat, and I'm surrounded by Brooklyn, Long Island guys. I'm really nervous.
Well, I'm here for Carmine Appice, however you want to.
Let's not get into that.
I've known Carmine
a long time.
For over 40 years.
Yeah.
I've known Carmine for over 40 years.
Well, how did you guys meet?
Before I was in the Stray Cats, Carmine was doing a drum clinic at the Long Island Drum Center for Jerry Ricky.
Right.
Carmine, remember Jerry Ricky?
Yeah, of course.
And I was an up-and-coming drummer boy taking lessons. I was doing my Ted Reed syncopation book and maybe getting through the first 10 pages of Jim Chapin's book,
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be near any drummer. I would go to Manny's on 48th Street and roll drumsticks to make sure they were straight.
Oh, right.
4 or 5 hours at a time just to be there. I thought any job that I could carry drumsticks in my back pocket was a dream of a lifetime. So I would just go anywhere I could. And Carmine was the first famous drummer that I knew that I'd heard of. He was doing a clinic near my house on Long Island. So I
Massapequa.
front row. I think Carmine was with Rod, and I sat in the front row and just asked 1,000 stupid questions. And, you know, I just wanted to be a professional drummer and get off Long Island. I didn't care what I had to do by playing the drums. And then afterwards, I asked to shake his hand, and he was going for pizza. And he said, "Kid, you want to get a pizza?" I said, "Sure." And Carmine took me. We had a slice of pizza. I asked him a million questions. And then about 3, 4, 5 years later, the Stray Cats had made it themselves. And we re-met, and I told him that story. And a big part of what happened to me was that I met Carmine and saw that it was possible. A guy from 516, a guy from New York, you know, got out. We got out of there as drummers and saw the world and made great music. And that was a very, very important thing to me. And Carmine, I'll like always love him for it.
Thank you, man. And you know my brother too, right? You know Vinny.
Well, of course I know Vinny. Him I met later. He owes me a slice.
Well, I tell you what, it's just another example, again, of the way Carmine Legendary has touched lives, so many, whether it's people who became superstars or people became, you know, superstars in their own garages, touched so many lives with his clinics and with his music. So, you know, Carmine, what can we say about you, right?
Yeah, but we were talking earlier this week. We started talking about cars. Because he knew, you know, I used to have this Pantera for 20 years, 40 years. And he said, and he always had this Corvette. And, you know, Slim Jim, he did one of our, one or two or more of the drum offs that we did, that Vinny did also. And is Vinny muted, Ben? Is Vinny muted? Because I can't hear him. Vinny, you there? Yeah, Vinny's muted. I don't know why. We can't hear Vinny. So
I think we lost his audio again.
Yeah. So show him the other car, the red car. The red car, Ben.
I see.
That's the Maserati, but no, that's not red. That's not red.
I see them all.
That's the red one. There it
That's
is.
the Pantera.
That's the Pantera. Right? So I had that car. I bought it in 1972, brought it to LA, and that's where Jim saw it. And Jim had a beautiful Corvette. That you still have it, right?
I still do. I have a 61 fawn beige Corvette, still mint condition.
There it is.
Wow.
Which one is it? You have both of those now?
I had both of those back then. Now I have the gold one, the 61.
The gold one. Oh, nice. Now we got that
that's
one.
what I'm driving now. Now I drive that Hemi right there.
As a New Yorker, just like us Chicago guys, we keep a baseball bat not in our trunk for the game, our front seat, right?
No, the best part about that car is you could run away from anything.
Yeah, right. On two wheels.
Yeah, so we had a good fun chat about cars and all that, and you know, we go way back.
Yeah,
it's great. It's great.
And you did one of the drum offs with us, right? One or two of them.
I judged one of the first ones ever. It was Ollie Brown, Myron Grumbacher, and myself. And Steven Adler was one of the contestants.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, we heard that story. We heard that story when we had who was on there? Eric Singer.
I think Eric Singer was the other one. That's right. And I've known Eric Singer all that time too.
Yeah, it's funny. And Vinny, I don't know if Vinny was a judge on that one. That was the preliminary, we call that. At the guitar
I remember
center.
it was in the parking lot of the old Guitar Center.
That's right.
On Ventura Boulevard, and it was about 150 degrees out.
Yep.
Luckily, I still drank beer back then, so it was beautiful.
Back then, not anymore.
No, not long time.
So let me ask you a question, Slim Jim. So, you know, we've got Sha Na Na, Grease, American Graffiti, even Happy Days, you know, shows that came out or movies and shows that came out in the 70s, early 80s that brought back that doo-wop 50s sound and made it real popular out of nowhere. And that's what I love. So, you know, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I really believe that the Stray Cats is what caused all of a sudden rockabilly. I mean, Elvis it can be construed as rockabilly, but Elvis is still Elvis. But rockabilly is what you guys did.
Well, when we discovered that Elvis Presley was rockabilly, that's when it changed our lives. When I was in my teens, I thought Elvis was the guy in the white jumpsuit in Vegas, and we loved it. Of course, it's Elvis Presley. It's a larger-than-life thing. But when we did the research and found out the roots of Elvis Presley in Sun Studios in Memphis, Tennessee, and discovered Elvis Presley was the first rockabilly, that's when my life changed at that moment. I cut all my hair off. I got pink peg pants and black and white shoes and a purple shirt. Slim Jim was born when I found out Elvis Presley was a rockabilly. Changed my life.
Well, it's fun. It's funny that we have Frank on the show, because Frank used to buy those Elvis albums in the old days. They were EPs. There were 45 EP. They had 4 songs on it with a picture of Elvis on it. And I was younger than Frank. I never really knew who he was until he bought the albums. So that's what you're researching. You were researching those days.
Yeah, because we wanted to find out where the Beatles get it from, where the Stones get it from, where the Fudge get it from, where the Cream get it from. Where did this all come from? Didn't come from nowhere.
Yeah.
I loved Ringo, and who did Ringo like? Charlie Watts was my favorite. Where did Charlie get it from? That's what started it for me.
Yeah.
So when you got, again, did you see it coming? I mean, you started creating your own style. As a matter of fact, you didn't really care for that Slim Jim name at the beginning, from what I understand.
No. My dad, R.I.P., was a New York City fireman, very big man, and his name was Big Jim. And everyone in town, everyone in New York called my dad Big Jim. And since my name was Jim, I was always Little Jimmy or Skinny Jimmy or Slim Jim, and I hated it, really, to be honest with you. But then when we formed the Stray Cats, on all those records, if you go back and look at all your rockabilly records, you look at your Gene Vincent records, everyone had a nickname. There was Gallopin' Cliff Gallop. There was Jumpin' Jack Neal. There was Flying Fred Williams. Everybody had a nickname. And I already had one. I was already Slim Jim. It was real. I didn't have to make it up. So rather than hating it, I just embraced it. And now, and that's me.
So what about your stand-up style? And you're not using, didn't use the 5-piece kit and all that stuff. I mean, you really created something, or at least fostered that look. How did that happen?
Well, when I started to play, when I first met Carmine, I was like everyone else. I was doing realistic rock. I've got that with my notes in it. I was a drummer in a band. Lee Rocker and I had a band. We would play in the city, and we would play the clubs on Long Island. And when I discovered rockabilly, and we all at the same time, we decided we really wanted to do something different. And I got the big reason was Gene Vincent and the Blue Caps had a drummer who's on Bebop-A-Lula. He's still alive. I still talk to him. His name is Dickie Harrell. Bebop Harrell, and that's his nickname, Bebop Harrell. And there was pictures of him standing up and playing the drums. It was so cool. The whole band was there. Gene was out in front, and Dickie Harrell was standing up behind one snare drum. And the Stray Cats, we were always trying to be different. Like, wow, imagine trying to do that at the gig. So the next time we had a little gig somewhere, we just tried it. It sounded cool. I could do it. Next year, I added a kick, and we could do it, and it just became our thing. And then we said, let's put it at the front of the stage, make it even more different. And it just clicked. And then a couple of years later, I met Dickie Harrell. I met Bebop Harrell, and he had a little bit of a laugh when I said, Dickie, I changed my whole life because of you. And he said, hey, kid, I only did it in photographs.
That's funny. Hey, Slim Jim, do me a favor. Can you there you go, back off from there, just like that. Because I was getting shots of your nose that I don't know that I really wanted. I don't know.
Such a nice nose.
There you go. Well, like I said, it's really amazing how you guys practically created a genre of music, and it's busy today in my own clubs. The most popular music we have, there's 80s dance and 90s dance, but all the rockabilly bands that we have that play our
I'm
clubs,
there, man.
You gotta be there. Now you did some punk projects subsequent to the Stray Cats, and even you got a couple songs that actually feel like Rockabilly Rule, right? It even feels like a little bit of a punk song. It almost feels like a little Ramones-esque. Did you some of your
yeah. Well, when we started playing, by that point, you had already had punk rock, and that's how I feel about the kids today. Like, they've got the Stray Cats, and they've got Nirvana, and they've got Green Day, and they can add that into the stew. By the time the Stray Cats started, we could add the Sex Pistols, we could add the Clash, we could add the Damned, we could add all that right into the stew and mix it right in. You start with the base of rockabilly, and then you can mix in all the ingredients. And we had the Clash and the Pistols by then, so that really did. We added those ingredients.
I tell you what. Go ahead, Carm.
I have a question. I know Jim played with Lemmy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Played with Lemmy a
So
lot.
my question is, did you play stand-up? I never saw you with Lemmy. Did you play stand-up, your usual setup, or did you play sit-down with a full kit?
Oh no, I played. My act was Lemmy, standing up all the way. He wanted it all. Lemmy would not do Ace of Spades. He only wanted to do Buddy Holly and Little Richard songs.
Oh, nice.
Lemmy loved rockabilly more than anyone I knew. The first time I met him, he was mad at me because I didn't know the B-side of a certain Gene Vincent song, and he had to take me to his house, which was a basement that he shared with some Hell's Angels. It's the first time I ever met the guy. I was 19 years old, to show me this Gene Vincent record that had a B-side I didn't know. And then we were friends for 40 years.
Yeah.
And he loved rockabilly music. He really did.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So
I would love to see that. I never seen you play with Lemmy.
Yeah, he really loved it. It really was his element.
So you got the guys, you got Little Richard, you got Chuck Berry, you got Gene Vincent, you got that crowd, and they all. I was fortunate to work with them and hire them for a few shows, and they had that. It was kind of a very tough personality. I mean, the good guys, whatever, very tough. So how much did your experience with the Killer affect you? I mean, was his personality just like the other guys, kind of a little bit tough?
I don't know. I mean, I worked with Jerry. I played with Jerry quite a lot. I played with him 100 times. I think if I said 10 words to him, I might be exaggerating.
Really? That sounds right. That's what I'm talking about.
Every time I met the guy, which was every night on tour, I wasn't quite sure that he remembered me from the day before. I really can't. I cannot be sure of that. I've met him. I've worked with him many times, but I'm not quite sure he knows who I am. But
those kind of guys are not about knowing people, not about friendships, not about awards. It's like, show me the money, Jerry. That's what they're all about, right?
That's right.
Oh, and he liked me. And like when you looked at Jerry, he wanted the drums right behind him, and you watched his hands. Sometimes he'd fly his hands around like this because he wanted the song slower. Sometimes you'd watch his hands, he'd be going like this because he wanted the song slower. And sometimes you looked at his hands and he was going like this just because he was having a good time. So it was kind of hard to tell. You really had to play it by ear.
What are you doing now? I mean, what band are you with now? What new projects you working on?
Well, the Stray Cats, we did 2 tours last 2 years. Last year we had a new album that was very successful. Yep. It did very good, and now I do we had this year off anyway, So I work with my wife, whose name is Jenny V. She plays in a band called Eagles of Death Metal. I don't know if you know those guys, the Eagles of Death Metal, and she and I are making a record together under her name, but I'm using all my guys, and it's all people you guys have heard of, and we're using this year to make Jenny's album. So it's always stuff staying busy, and I do radio shows. I do one for Little Steven Van Zandt on the Underground Garage. I do that on Sunday nights, a rockabilly show, and I do an interview show on Volume West with Lindsay Parker from Yahoo Music, and I do a show on Sirius XM Sports Channel, about rock and roll guys who like baseball. That's my other passion.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah.
So, what's the connection? Rock and roll guys who love baseball. What is that connection?
Nobody thought of it before, and I pitched it to the guy. The head of the sports department, who I became friendly with, just from the office. I said, "You guys got 100 sports channels. There's nothing about rock and roll." And I've been doing fantasy baseball leagues since Johnny Ramone, myself, Eddie Vedder, Vincent Gallo. We used to hand write in and then fax in our lineups every day. This was in the 90s. We were doing fantasy baseball. So
wow,
I made a show out of it. So
what is this?
it's just amazing. I mean, who was somebody that you would have had on that show? So it's a baseball player. Who's somebody you would have had?
It says they can hear it.
Something I would have had as Johnny Ramone was the main guy. I went to 100 baseball games with the guy.
So you didn't have a baseball player. You had rock and rollers who love baseball.
Exactly. And now that we have access to the channel and all the other people, we've been finding guys. I had Dave DeLucci on last week, who plays for Arizona Diamondbacks. We next week we have Greg Swindell. I think in some upcoming weeks we have Doc Gooden. We have, I think, possibly down the road, Randy Johnson. There's quite a few rock and roll guys who love baseball guys who love rock and roll.
That's awesome. So let me ask you. I started to touch on this earlier. Again, you guys, turned rockabilly into its own genre, really. At least the neo rockabilly. Did you see it coming? Did it explode around you, and you're like, "What the hell's happening?"
Yeah, I think it surprised everyone. It was something that really wasn't ever supposed to happen again. Rockabilly was pretty close to being extinct. I don't know if that was really in the cards.
So what made you do it? What made you do rockabilly versus, for example, punk? Why didn't you go right into punk rather than, you had that kind of style that worked anyway?
When we found rockabilly, it was something that I think a few other types will tell you that get into it. It really just kind of like other types of rock and roll. It just takes you over completely, and you need to look like that. You got to get a leopard skin couch. You got to get an Argyle sweater. You got to get a pink pair of pants. You just have to do it. It just takes you over. You have to do it. And luckily I had the other two.
Well, God bless you for doing it, because you affected all of us.
I got the LAPD waiting for me right here. So thanks so much for having me on your show. Carmine, I'm going to call you later, buddy.
Okay, bro. That'd
I love
be great.
you guys.
Too, man.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much, buddy, for joining us.
I'll be in touch, and I'll see you in
Lockdown.
Chicago, buddy. I'll see you in Chicago for sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Everybody
Vinny. Carmine,
there,
I'll call you later.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
man. Ciao.
All right. Everybody out there, make sure that you share and like and tell everybody about our show, Artists on Lockdown. I'm Ron Onesti from the Arcada Theater in St. Charles with the legendary Carmine Appice from Vanilla Fudge, and there he is, and Vinny Appice from Dio and Black Sabbath, but the real star of the family, the guy who really is the guy,
started it all. He started it all.
Frank. What is it now? Appice.
Appice.
Well,
Can you hear us now?
Sure. What?
Can you hear us?
I can be fine.
Yeah, we hear you now.
Oh, well,
When the show's over.
No,
Well,
we heard you before, too.
But then it went off. I don't know, something happened with the microphone.
yeah, I was trying to say to Jim that I signed his royalty check from Power Rock.
Yeah.
I sent them out.
Oh, yeah. We had Slim Jim video. We had an instructional video that Jim did. He was. We forgot to mention that. So my brother used to send him the checks.
So you talk about royalty checks like Vinny gets?
No, there were some at the beginning. There were more.
Oh, but not like this one. What is it?
No,
Which
not like
59 cents.
oh,
59 cents.
I was better than that.
Yeah. We
Look at
did
that.
more than that.
$3, something like that.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why you guys are upset with the music industry as far as royalties. You're getting checks. What are you complaining about?
Yeah, man.
59 cents, baby. Woo!
Well, our special guest tonight, Frank, thanks for joining us. Thanks for keeping your two little brothers in line here because those guys were misfits.
Nice meeting you, Ron. Good job. It was a good show. A lot of fun.
He's a good cook too. He's
Yeah.
Oh, he makes it the meatballs. He makes it the meatballs.
I gotta
Italian.
I gotta have all you guys over.
Okay.
All right, love you guys. We'll see you all next week on Artists on Lockdown, Hangin' Bangin' with Carmine Appice and Vinny Appice and whoever else we're going to have on the show. Stars again and again and again. Have a great week,
And
guys.
next week,
See you again soon.
And next week, Liberty DeVito.
Wow, man. The stars come out to play on this show. Have a great week, guys. Good night, everybody.
Ciao.
Good night. All right.